Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Today on CityCast Denver, something shady is going down at the McDonald's on Colfax in Pennsylvania. So me and producer Paul Caroli are reading between the lines of a new report. Plus, the King Soopers union could be back on strike at the end of the month. So we're talking about a new investigation into alleged errors on your grocery bill. Today is Tuesday, May 20th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. So we have a little bit of business before we get into our stories, one which actually kind of involves this, but we are looking for your favorite grocery store, the go-to, why this is your go-to store and why. It can be a specialty store. It can be a chain. It could just be a location that you really like for that chain. And we just want to hear what's your favorite store, because we're going to talk more about grocery stores. Give us a call on the grocery store hotline, 720-500-5418. Let us know your favorite store and why.
And here's why. Because grocery stores are getting too much hate these days. There's these lists going around about Denver having the worst grocery stores in the country or something.
Well, wait till you get to one of the stories we're talking about today.
Well, that's serious news. I mean, that's a serious. And people are going to have their own feelings about it. But we got some information to share for sure. But yes, too much bad press for grocery stores. What are the great ones?
Yeah, we want to know. Do you go out of your way to go to one in particular?
Yes, I do.
You do?
We'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Well, give us a call, 720-500-5418. Before we get to some bigger stories, Paul, do you want to we have an update about a conversation we had last week?
Yes, we talked about this a couple of times last week. Once with our friend of the show, Ian Thomas Tafoya, who was on the Friday show, climate activist. And then we actually had talked about it previously. But last week, the Mayor Mike Johnston, had proposed, or the news came out that he was proposing to give raises to a bunch of the heads of the cabinets, like top city officials, ranging between 4% and 44%. This was kind of controversial. He argued that it was a way to stave off brain drain, to keep, talented people working for the city instead of the private sector. A lot of other people were like, the budget is strapped right now. Why
Do we
is
need to
this
be giving
the thing we're spending money on?
Some people a 44% raise.
Yeah, so we talked about it, a lot of reporting about it, and then it turns out he changed his mind. So council was set to vote on this on July 1st, but that has now been postponed until the fall because, according to a statement Denverite got from the mayor's office, this shifts the discussion to the fall. This will allow a more complete conversation as we work through the nuances and specifics of an uncertain economic year for Denver and the country.
I will be curious what those folks that were set to get those raises, how they respond.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the important thing. I mean, if Mayor Johnston is right and we were going to see brain drain, maybe we see like Amy Ford bolt to the private sector or who knows, that would be the thing. But also, maybe they just wait till fall and see if they get those raises.
True. Well, we'll be watching that for sure.
All right, our first story.
Oh man, this is great.
There was some really interesting reporting from Business Den today. A crazy story about something that's been happening at the McDonald's on Colfax.
Yes.
What's up?
Old Denverites will know this as the former two-story McDonald's, which they knocked down to build this back to a one-story. But apparently, it's sort of been operating like a flea market or a swap meet over the last couple of months.
How so?
Business Den is reporting. So Business Den witnessed over 3 months, they have observed staff buying items from customers in the restaurant. So there was like exchanging of goods that were not McDonald's in origin, I guess is how you would put it.
So it's not someone going to return their cheeseburger because it didn't have mayonnaise. It's someone going in with, what are we going in? What are we doing?
Sure. So they reported that employees would either come out from behind the counter or do this at the counter directly, where they would inspect and buy goods from customers. So again, perfumes, soaps, soccer cleats, diapers, and small home appliances is what they witnessed changing hands.
Small home, like a toaster?
That's what I'm
So they're
guessing.
going
Or like
into
a
the
coffee
McDonald's
maker,
with a toaster, a coffee
or
maker.
something. I mean, truthfully, it's Colfax. So like, if you were just like walking down the street and you saw someone walking in there with like a Keurig, I wouldn't think twice about
Colfax.
it.
That's
to be honest
regular.
with you, I'd be like, yeah, well, it's Colfax.
100%.
But what I thought was interesting was Business Den pointed out that they never saw a McDonald's employee sell an item. They were only purchasing
They're
items.
just buying.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was
fascinating.
Super fascinating. Security was there pretty much all the time. And Business Den reported, quote, multiple security guards Business Den talked to said they were supposed to stop the illicit commerce inside the store, but they were powerless to do so because it's the McDonald's employees doing the buying. They said they believe the goods were stolen.
Why do we think that?
I don't know. There were still
because why else would you why sell a toaster in a McDonald's or like what?
Yeah, or like why bring packs of diapers into McDonald's? And then there's only like one photograph of this happening, and it just looks like a couple items on a table. But
it seems like we're talking about something, but we're not really talking about the thing. Like what do we think?
Sale?
What's happening here?
I mean,
do you think based on the reporting?
I don't. Looking at the kinds of items. This is what was interesting to me.
Uh-huh.
The biggest one that sticks out to me is diapers. I totally understand if someone was stealing and reselling those. I'm not condoning it. I'm saying I know how expensive diapers are. I actually just had to buy some this weekend because we're in the tail end of potty training, and I forgot how expensive they are. So to me, it seems like for the most part, these are pretty low dollar items that people maybe need, but it sounds to me as if they're being brought from somewhere else to be sold here. Why they're selling them inside a McDonald's, I could not tell you. Why this is the particular location for this operation, I have no idea.
And the fact that like multiple employees seem to be in on it.
Yeah.
It's not just like one guy taking a break, going out back and like buying up all the toilet paper in the neighborhood or whatever.
No.
It's like the whole staff.
But I also thought it maybe isn't the whole staff, because I actually, when I worked at KB Toys in the 90s, we sold PlayStations, and it was when PlayStations were first released. And it was discovered that one of my coworkers was pilfering them out the back and selling them himself. But I can imagine if this felt like more of an operation within the store, people would assume it was everyone. I had no idea that was going on. This, you can see everything's going on, but I don't know what I would do if I was an employee and not involved in it.
I'm sorry, this is a tangent, but is your old coworker still in the game? Because I missed pre-orders for the Switch 2, and I'd really like to get my hands on one of those. I
don't know, but I just want to tell you, this is such a 90s part of his story. His name was Cohen, but he made us call him Kawan.
Sick.
He was a white man. So, Kawan, if you're out there still selling PlayStations, Paul really wants one. This was 1996, Paul.
Nintendo Switch 2.
Oh,
that's
Nintendo
what
Switch
I want.
2.
Kawan. That is what I want. If you're in the game, hit me up.
Give us a call. 720. I'm kidding. So, yeah, why this is the location? To me, I just assume there was maybe somebody who's already engaged in this activity, or this is sort of like whatever their side hustle is, and they found, hey, working out in this McDonald's where I already work seems to be a pretty effective model for this.
Well, we should talk about the location, because you mentioned shoplifting, right? Stealing, crime. This particular stretch of Colfax, this was a big theme a few months ago.
With the Natural Grocers closure.
The Natural Grocers. There's this talk of crime.
Well, so they interviewed the owner of Marzix about shoplifting in general. I don't know if these quotes were taken from a previous conversation and just applied to this or in relation to this, but what I thought was interesting was like stuff that's sold at Marzix that I know they talk about they're getting stolen from. This stuff doesn't seem like that kind. You can't get diapers at Marzix.
Fancy hot sauce and chips and stuff.
Yeah, you're not getting soccer cleats and Mr. Coffees or whatever. But I think that
Can you imagine going to Marzix and buying a $15 sandwich and then taking it to McDonald's to sell it to the staff at McDonald's? What a funny idea that
I'd be curious what they do and don't take at the McDonald's.
What are the prices? How does this scheme work?
I assume there's a lot of negotiating going on.
I'm going there for lunch. I'm going to figure it out.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, have I been in that McDonald's lately? And I was like, no, but I've been through the drive-thru and it operated pretty normally, but I haven't been in. I don't know when the last time is you went into a McDonald's, but they don't really want you in there. So that's what I also found interesting.
Unless you got good merch.
Apparently.
Good stuff.
So I guess they're cracking down on it. Business Den reached out to the franchisee, Lauren Addy, who said in a statement that she is investigating and that the safety of her customers is her, quote, top priority. About a week after the statement and numerous calls made to Addy by Business Den for further information, a security guard said that they'd cracked down on this illicit market. Addy owns several restaurants around the Front Range. Reporting doesn't say if they're all McDonald's, but she bought this Colfax location recently.
Interesting.
In December. So
that might be an interesting person to talk to, because we often talk about how crime affects like local businesses, but it's not the only place Denverites eat. You know, a lot of Denverites like eating at McDonald's, these chains, and like, if this is the place where it's kind of like on the edge, or like if this is where, you know, crime, shoplifting, if people are really, you know, dealing with this violence, you know, victims of these situations, I want to know how it works. I want to know why it's happening.
But I do want to be clear. No violence has been reported in this situation in particular.
I'm thinking Colfax generally. We hear about that sometimes.
Sure. I just want to be clear. Like, this sounded just like a kind of a, you know, a low-key out the trunk kind of deal.
Right.
But it's happening in this location.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Wild stuff. This episode is brought to you by the City and County of Denver Technology. Ever have a question about the city you wish you could just text and immediately have it answered? Enter Sunny, Denver's 24/7 chatbot. Sunny is a smart, AI-powered chatbot that helps you find your trash pickup day, report a broken streetlight, track street sweeping, and more. Texting 439-311. Hi. Oh, dang, she's fast. She just popped right back in there. Okay, so she can help me out with whatever. Also, if this is an emergency, please call 911. That's helpful, thank you. For potholes or potholes. So I could just put like pothole on Alameda. Those are a real problem. Pothole on Alameda. Alameda and Tejo. Oops. Autocorrect is making it really hard for me. That's all right. Sunny speaks 72 languages and responds instantly by text or WhatsApp and never makes you wait on hold. No apps, no forms, no personal info. Just help when you need it, totally anonymous. All you have to do is text HI to 439-311 or message 877-53-SUNNY on WhatsApp. Visit denvergov.org/sunnybot. Your city, just a text away. Thanks, Sunny. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. Not sure if you need urgent care or the emergency room? Denver Health has you covered. For non-life-threatening issues like minor injuries, abdominal pain, and even stitches and x-rays, Denver Health's urgent care is your go-to choice. Just walk right in. No appointment needed. With 4 convenient options, including adult care, pediatric care, virtual visits, and a downtown location at 16th and California, Denver Health makes it easy to get the care you need when you need it. But remember, if you're facing a serious life-threatening condition, head to the emergency room right away. Like seriously, like right now. Like if you're listening to this podcast and you need emergency medical help, you have my permission to hit pause and call an ambulance. Urgent care is here for those unexpected issues that need quick attention but aren't emergencies. Plus, Denver Health accepts most insurance plans. Please turn off this podcast right now, call 911, and then go to the emergency room. When you're sick, think Denver Health Urgent Care. Most major insurances accepted. Let's talk about our next story, which is...
this is a big one.
This is an ongoing thing we've covered for years now. The King Soopers and the employees, the labor union fight is potentially coming back here. May 28th is the 100-day pause of the strike is over. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means they can go back to the negotiating table, or they could go back to a strike?
They've been negotiating ever since the strike back in February ended. It was an 11-day strike that ended with basically this agreement to keep talking.
Okay.
So that's where we're at now, is they've been talking, and now we're almost to the end of that 100 days, and we're going to see whether or not they're going to go back on strike, or if they're going to reach a deal. We're going to see how the leverage, how the power dynamics have shifted, because they've shifted in some interesting ways, and what that means for us, the customer.
Well, before we get a little more into that, because I know you talked to Kim Cordova, the head of USCW Local 7 that represents King Soopers employees. Consumer Reports had this really interesting story last week about alleged price inconsistencies at King Soopers across the country. Paul, can you explain what they found?
I sure can. And yes, it did drop last week. Coincidentally, a couple of weeks before this pause was set to end. Definitely part of the story, the timing around this. Nothing to say about Consumer Reports, except that Kim Cordova told me that she's the one that told them that this was happening, and that's why they started looking into it.
Oh, yeah. So she tipped them off.
She said, here in Colorado, the head of our local union tipped off Consumer Reports, which is a national publication. She said, hey, there's this price tag inconsistency problem here. You should look and see if it's happening everywhere.
So prices as they were maybe on the shelf marked were not matching what a consumer was paying on their receipt.
That's correct. That was the allegation. She actually told us about this back when she was on the show back in February. Right. But what Consumer Reports found is that it's quite... Well, I don't know. It's unclear how common it is, but the average shopper is paying more because of expired price tags. There's this problem where the price tag that you see on the shelf is not what gets rung up at the counter.
Because that sale on that good is over, but they haven't removed that old tag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And which I thought maybe meant maybe what about vice versa? What if the tag sometimes is higher and then you get charged for less? Maybe that's possible too.
True.
That's not what Consumer Reports reported. They worked with The Guardian and Food and Environment Reporting. They sent shoppers to Kroger stores in 14 states and the District of Columbia, and they found expired sales labels that led to overcharges on more than 150 grocery items. The average overcharge they found was $1.70 per item, or 18.4%.
Huh. I can see this being a labor issue for sure.
Well, that was Kim Cordova's point. This is a staff problem.
They don't have enough people.
They don't have enough people to change the tags. Mm-hmm. And once you get really drilled down into how these stores work, it starts to get even more interesting. Because she explained to me that the way Kroger does its sales is weekly. Every Wednesday, they'll put out a flyer. You'll get it in your copy of the Denver Post if you still get that delivered, which is probably nobody. But you'll maybe get a pop-up ad on a website or something with a sale, and those happen on Wednesdays. They also have a bunch of other sales, so these tags change all the time. But the one she said was Wednesdays. So what that means is Tuesday night, staff should go and change all the tags in the stores. But because they don't have enough staff, it doesn't happen. So when shoppers come in on Wednesday morning, they find tags that are not up to date.
And I can see where you're the manager or you're the night, you're the shift manager of that store. I would say that's probably the lowest priority is like getting those tags changed. It's like, is there someone to check people out? Is there someone to refill the dairy cap? You know what I mean? Like I can see where it would fall down lower and lower if you didn't have enough people working.
This is Cordova's allegation, is that they are understaffed. They've been chronically understaffed since the pandemic, and that this is one of the things that's fallen through the cracks. And Consumer Reports seems to have found that it's actually happening all across the country at Kroger stores.
This is so interesting to me because I asked Joe Kelly, at that time president of King Soopers and Kroger, about that very thing because at the store I go to, it's clearly understaffed as a customer.
Yeah.
And he said, well, that must be an individual store issue. I'll look into it. This kind of tells a little different story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's definitely the arguments on both sides. The company says it's not a problem. In response to Consumer Reports, a Kroger representative said in a statement that they are, quote, committed to affordable and accurate pricing, and that they regularly conduct price checks that review, quote, millions of items weekly to ensure our shelf prices are accurate. They said that the price tag errors that were cited in the article were just a few dozen examples across several years out of billions of customer transactions annually.
Interesting.
So they're saying, look at the whole store. Like, yeah, you maybe found a few of these. It happens. We make mistakes.
This is a small percentage.
Yeah, relative to the overall. And what Consumer Reports didn't find is like how much this is overcharging customers on average.
Oh.
They found specific items where there were these inconsistencies, but they didn't look at like specific consumers' receipts. They didn't go through stores and it would just be an enormous project. I don't even know how that would be possible, but they didn't do that. And for the record, I did reach out to King Soopers to ask them about this directly, and I haven't heard back. So I'll let you know if I hear from them, but right now, all we got is one side.
Yeah. I mean, that would be just like an auditing thing that I think most companies would do every couple of years. But
sure. Although the company seems to, maybe they think that, their policy's working for them, because what customers could do is look at their receipts. Obviously, we could all do this.
I have one right now.
Who, and I'm sure as you left, you probably didn't go line by line and then go back in the store and be like, wait, the tag said $1.99 and I got charged $2.49. You're not going to go up to the checker and be like, I'm actually been overcharged $3.50 on this $150 grocery trip.
Again, there's not enough people in the store. I would feel bad bothering somebody.
You probably have to wait.
Right. Or like there's just so much going on in a store.
Yeah.
I would not do that as a customer.
Yeah. The other interesting angle on this that Cordova told me about is that the self-checkout has brought a new dimension to this debate because it's a staffing issue for her. She says that Kroger has been reducing staffing and prioritizing self-checkout. But what that means is that the price integrity problem gets worse because the consumer, if you go through a real human checker, the real human, they will know the prices. They'll be aware of the discounts on Wednesdays or the end of previous discounts.
Sure.
And when they see an error on the screen, they'll fix it.
Yeah.
According to Cordova. But if you're going through and you're checking yourself out, you're not going to notice.
I checked myself out this weekend. I'm a fan of the self-check, but I do see that point. And also there's one checker monitoring 6 checkouts. I need help at my checkout because my coupon doesn't work. The person across from me is getting ID'd because they're buying cough medicine. The person next to me, you know what I mean? It's like this one person is running between 6 checkouts. Even if you did happen to catch it, I could see where it would be just hard to just try to get it fixed because you're waiting for somebody to help check you out.
What I wanted to flag is something else I noticed. Part of this, when it comes to technology, changing the dynamics in this labor battle is there was a debate in Congress last fall where some of these grocery executives had to go and defend their practices. I think it was around the talks about the merger. But Kroger and Walmart and some of these other companies, they're interested in digital price tags.
What does that mean?
It means that it's a digital tag on the shelf that they can update remotely.
That sounds...
What's wrong with that to you?
They could just change it to whatever they want, whenever they want.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to buy it.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I guess this is inevitable. Everything's going to be digital, but ooh.
Yeah, apparently Kroger has a pilot program going on. I haven't seen those personally at King Soopers. Walmart had announced last June that they're deploying these in 2,300 stores by 2026. The people in Congress, their issues with this was like dynamic pricing. If Kroger might start using like, hey, if the weather is, if it's rainy out, maybe they're going to up the price of umbrellas and they're going to be able to do that because it's all digital. But I thought that was interesting because like maybe that's good for the customer, but I could definitely see the union not being happy about that because then it means they don't even need to staff anyone to change the price tags because it's all going to happen via some computer in the back or not even in the store.
Yeah. I could also just see though, we still need those people in the store because they're already understaffed.
But for what?
Doing other things, helping you on the floor when you can't find something or something's out or you need the butcher counters. Like there's never enough people there or trying to find something. I was trying to order a cake at the bakery the other day, trying to find a person to do that. So maybe they could just put all those people
maybe. Or most consumers are going to think I'm getting a good enough service. I like the prices I'm paying because for each person that you have to hire to run the butcher counter, that means the consumer is going to pay that much more for meat. So maybe us consumers in this tough economic environment where no one wants to pay $12 for eggs, we're only going to go to those places that are looking to shave off every penny off of our grocery bills. And when it comes to like something like digital price tags and the savings that the company might be able to get from that, like maybe that means they are hiring fewer people, but lower prices for most people.
I'm such a service-oriented person. This sounds like my worst nightmare personally, but that probably is good for other people. I like getting good service.
Sure. I mean, some
of
these...
It's important. I pay for it. It's important to me.
Absolutely.
But
some of these stores are going to completely staff free.
That's like so dystopian to
Yeah.
me. I'm like, I need I've noticed that at Whole Foods since Amazon bought it. It's just like an Amazon fulfillment center now, and I can't find a person to like get me fish from behind the counter. But
the
they
customer
don't care.
will decide.
Yeah.
The customer will decide just like we will during this, maybe if the strike comes back at the end of the month, when the 100-day pause is over, if they do hit the picket lines again, we'll see. We'll see. Are people going to be persuaded by these price tag fixing mistakes? Is that going to change how many people decide whether or not to shop at King Soopers or not if there's a strike going on?
I'm also just thinking about how many people's families here are maybe employees of Kroger through some capacity. And I know a lot of folks that work in grocery stores.
It's a huge employer.
So I don't know. I'm always really thinking about the labor side, but I guess we'll see when they go, when we hit this 100-day, what the next steps are.
There is one other thing worth talking about, which Cordova flagged to me, which is that the national political environment has changed quite a bit ever since Trump got elected. I mean, obviously he had just been elected when they went on strike in February, but now he's had a few months to change and put pressure on the National Labor Relations Board. There's a legal battle going on because he tried to fire one of the board directors, and she has appealed the firing, and then it was upheld, and now it's going to the Supreme Court. So we don't know what's going to happen with that case, but pending the result of that case, he might be able to hire or appoint 2 more people, probably more conservative people, and that's the board that would adjudicate unfair labor disputes in this King Soopers union battle that we're about to go back and see. So that's something like Cordova and the union folks and people who are interested in labor all over the country are watching.
Yeah. I mean, labor is the backbone of so much of what we do and access and have in this country. So, well, guess we'll see what happens.
We will. I'm endlessly fascinated by these things and excited to talk about grocery stores later in the week a little bit more.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. Where do you go? Is it because of the service? Is it because of the prices? Is it because of the location?
What matters to you?
Does it carry the specific things that you want? Where do you go?
Are there individual people that matter to you at
Yes.
stores? Like there's this one guy who pushes around the carts at the King Soopers on Monaco, right off of Leetstail.
Yeah.
And he has just the most chipper attitude. I always love seeing him because he's always got the best attitude. He's excited to be there and he's just like brightens my day. I love that guy.
Yeah, we have 2 cart pushers over at the Wads and Alameda one that I love. One is like a teenager. He's so cool. He just looks cool. He's very nice. And then another gentleman is an older gentleman who I think has been there for a really long time, and he's also lovely. But I also think about my favorite checker that runs the self-checkouts. His name is David. Lovely man. So helpful. So nice. I love going to the self-checkout when he's there because he just comes up to you and says how was your day? Even though I know he's got 500 things to do.
It makes a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
So let us know.
Yeah. Where do you go?
720-500-5418.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
All right, now we are going to hear from you, our beautiful and hilarious listeners, because every Tuesday we read comments, we answer your questions, anything that comes through the CityCast Denver hotline.
This is an anonymous text, but they identify themselves as, "Hi, nerdy white guy here. My take on the YIMBY movement is correlated with the extremely online group." So this is a comment about our ongoing conversation about density and housing and the character of our neighborhoods, etc. Nerdy white guy writes, I was exposed to the density movement via social media that I consume while I work my computer-based desk job. I know not everyone has this luxury, but I truly believe that the average American craves walkability and affordability. YIMBY ideas have spread amongst the extremely online, but we need to do a better job of sharing them with folks IRL. Love the show.
In real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think about that theory about because he's like, we've been talking about why YIMBY is typically nerdy white guys.
I mean, I think this has been my struggle in these conversations in general is like, we're not always hearing from the folks that are directly impacted in different ways. Like, yeah, walkability sounds wonderful. Affordability sounds wonderful, but like, just depends on your lifestyle and what you do and for work and where you live and what you value. And the YIMBY movement can skew towards this exact kind of person. And so I can see where it can be a little bit alienating for folks that don't. Or maybe they just don't, the conversations aren't crossing.
Yeah.
There are people having these separate conversations about affordability based on a lot of things, class, like where you live, and they're just not connecting. And I feel like that's kind of what he's saying is like, we can have these conversations in our silos, but we need to be better at talking to each other because we may be on the same page. We're just not delivering that information the best way.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a good theory personally. I mean, this is one of those things. I've seen these communities. I've seen these discussions online.
Me too.
And I'm one of these people that works at a computer all day and is following this kind of thing.
Yeah,
so I'm exposed to it.
I think about this a lot when I just like look at my block and talk to my neighbors. I'm the guy that's at home all day on my computer, and my neighbor next door is the guy that's out all day doing construction. We've never had a conversation about density and affordability, but
You should ask if he's a YIMBY.
I don't know if Jose's a YIMBY. I could ask him.
Yeah, ask him if he's a YIMBY. Next time you see him.
He's a great gardener. I'll tell you that much.
I wonder if he is. You're like, hell yeah, I'm a YIMBY. He'll talk to you about single stair.
I mean, he probably builds them.
Yeah, he probably builds single. He probably has opinions about it.
Yeah, this is the thing is like, I would love to talk to more of those folks, like the folks in construction on the things that they're constructing and how they view those within their own lives.
Yeah.
So
I wonder.
Good point.
Anyway, thanks for writing in, nerdy white guy. Appreciate it always. Anyone else who has a thought or a question or an opinion about anything we talked about any day, this is our favorite thing to do. So call in, let us know what you think.
720-500-5418. You can also email us denver@citycast.fm. All right. Well, thanks, Paul.
See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell McDonald's franchisee Lauren Addy about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See ya. Tell McDonald's franchisee